guys have had some success coming off of bye weeks. What's been your approach during the bye week, and why has that been the case?
We've kind of gone through different years of, scenarios that we've tried to find the balance between giving guys rest, staying sharp, and of course, continued improvement along with recruiting. So, we like the schedule that we've had and kind of keeping it, in a flow that gives us what we're looking for. Practice 3 times, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. They lifted last Monday. And then Friday as well, gave them Saturday off and then brought them back in yesterday for a night practice, and then they're off again, and today will be their day off for the week. So, and then kind of get back in the flow and kind of go from there. Hopefully that'll pay dividends again.
Does it affect anything about how you approach one bye week when you got 2 separate ones that are fairly close together?
Not right now, it hasn't. We've kind of built these schedules with a mindset of where we can be at. It's probably a little unique this year and in this new format of where it'll go. But sometimes you look at your travel schedule and stuff and kickoff times and things like that are starting to play a bigger factor. But right now, I think we'll stay, again, the balance of, the added advantage of having analysts that can coach now. You can get a little more done, probably practice-wise if guys leave earlier or out on the road.
And then just how did you feel about how you guys planned for recruiting during the bye week and how that went?
I'm sorry, just how the plan was.
Yeah.
Well, we had to pull a few off with down in the southeast due to the hurricane. We kind of postponed some travel there for a few guys, and we rearranged a couple. But all in all, we got everybody out. I got out on Friday, and we got to some places, and we got a few more to get to as well. Here we'll kind of hit a few more as we keep going. But I was pleased with what we were able to get accomplished.
You mentioned the players getting more rest, or at least the guys that play a lot. For you guys as a staff, were there some things you guys found when you looked back at the first half of the season?
Meaning just rep-wise, are you saying with players, or are you saying just self-scouting?
Yeah, self-scouting.
Yeah, it's again the margin of victory and between winning and losing is, broken down into some small factors each and every game. There's as we've talked about before, if you look at it statistically, it's not as off as far as the record would appear. Again, our sometimes offensively, our first down, some of our first down production is not what it had been in the last couple of years probably. Our total number of interceptions are still up from that 6th game, and our sacks are down. And when you look at our those two things together of our ability to put people in longer down distances has not happened, and I think that's been a reason why we've struggled to get off the field at times. And I think some of the inconsistencies offensively have been partially early with some of those turnovers. We were better against Arizona State, obviously didn't turn the ball over, but some of those, and then capitalizing on opportunities in the red zone when we've had them and settling for field goals have really hurt us. And of course, continue working hard on special teams, because I think the last 2 games have been some of the ones that we struggled as much as we have in our time here.
I know before the bye week you talked about different guys being banged up, playing through stuff. How do you think the bye week helped some of those players get back?
Not as much as I'd hoped yet right now, to be truthful. We've still got a lot of guys that are questionable, working through it, but we'll have to see where it takes us. A few guys are getting a little better, and I hope as we, I'd have better answers, because I figured you're going to ask that today, walking in, that I would have some better news of definites, but we'll have a lot of guys in the questionable area right now.
Would Cornell be one of those guys that's closer to questionable?
He's probably more of the doubtful. Okay, yeah.
I was gonna ask real quick about it. Does Kobe fall in the doubtful category as well?
He's probably highly questionable at this time. He's done doing a little bit, but has not taken any team reps in over a week.
Lance, you talked about getting pressure to quarterbacks. Do you feel like that's put a good amount of pressure on the secondary to kind of play differently than last year?
I don't know too much differently. There's some different things in there that has happened, again, with some guys. But yeah, I put stress when you can't get to the quarterback. I put stress on everybody. And again, and then you have to create more situations of putting pressure with more people. And, then you put yourself in some coverage, stresses as well. So we've got to continue to work on that and find ways to create disruption.
Yeah, and Jalen had probably his best game of the season last game. What did you see from him in that game, and how did you build on that for the other weeks?
I just said I think he's continued to get more comfortable with everything, and I think he got off to a good start. I think we protected him a lot better and gave him a chance to get into rhythm. I think his success, again, a couple throws early kind of made him. You can see that starting to get back to where he used to be, and he kind of built on that. I would agree it was his best game so far.
Looking at some of the national letter intent changes and transfer portal changes that happened over the last week and a half, do you have much of an opinion on some of those changes that were made?
Yeah, most of these were kind of talked about for a while. And the letter of intent, I don't, heck, it wasn't worth anything anyway for the last 3 years. I don't know why you get a waiver for anything. Nothing's binding anymore. So they finally made it what was already obvious. So, I do think, we continue to work through this ever-changing new era of what it's going to be like. I do think there's at least some talk of some decent things that'll kind of help put it in a little bit more of an area of understanding for everyone. The portal windows, I think there's something that they're still, will always be talked about how long and kind of look at and what those time frames will be. But I don't, we get a survey, so to speak, every now and then to give our opinions and stuff, but I don't know if they always turn out that way. Some do, some don't.
Looking at Houston, what are some of the things that have stood out to you about that team?
Well, Willie Fritz is a guy from the area. I've known Willie for a long time, back from the Division II days. Willie's an excellent football coach, and not to to my surprise, in any way, shape, or form, you see his teams continually get better, and they're starting to find their stride. I think they've settled in on a quarterback. I'm sure, just like any transition, there's growing pains and understanding once you get into a game of finding that. But you can see them, they played an excellent game against TCU the week after we did, and played their best football to date. And a couple other, they opened up with UNLV as well. So I see a team that is starting to find how to use their weapons. Both quarterbacks are very athletic and create a lot of plays with their feet as well when something's not there, or design quarterback runs. Again, great speed on the perimeter. Defensive line is going to be a good challenge up front. Their interior guys are stout but quick and strong. Again, extremely. We know what it's like. We went down there a few years ago to play them. That's a very talented team, and a team that will continue to improve in the Big 12.
Lance, from an urgency and demeanor standpoint, how your guys are approaching it right now, like the basketball analogy, there's no 10-point shots, right? Sometimes teams play like that. What are you seeing from your guys with regard to just approach as the rest of the season comes up?
Again, we've talked about trying to flush the pass, so to speak, and we got the second half of the season starting now, and we're going to look at how we're going to really come out of these last 6 games and continue to and I said, but many times if we were 6-0 right now or anything else, we'd be talking about the same thing about a daily. And I think I've said this in here many times is, you know, your process and your practice regime and things that you do don't change based on wins and losses. To me, that's knee-jerk reactions to how you're gonna go about it. And I think consistency in our approach, but attention to detail and getting better and addressing the things that we can do to try to get ourselves in a better position are key. I really admire our guys. You know, they're disappointed, frustrated, just like many of us are, fans, everything. But this group continues to work and stick together. In fact, I had a player tell me about somebody. You know, they get a lot of calls from outside people. You know, especially our seniors about, you know, future alignments or whatever. And they were, you know, somebody had said to him about the locker room, and he said, we don't have a locker room problem. Okay, and the nice thing is the maturity and leadership in this program, but also the understanding that you win and lose together, and everyone's had a share in this. That is, you know, that we're coming up a little bit short. So I think the approach is we got to keep attacking it and working at it. And again, next man up for who's available. If someone's not available, take advantage of the opportunities and make the most of it.
Nancy, you're talking about Willie Fritz's career. Do you see anything with this Houston team that's consistent with past teams of his at all?
Yeah, I just think you know, again, they've utilized the quarterback. He goes all the way back to Michael Bishop at Blinn College, I believe, if I remember correctly. You know, an outstanding career at Manhattan. You know, Willie's won a lot of games with very athletic quarterbacks. He's very versatile. When I was in Omaha, he was head coach at Central Missouri. Ran into each other on the junior college recruiting circuit. We talk a lot. We actually have the same representation, and we've done some professional development together. So I've watched about his fundamentals on how he goes about it. Learned a lot from Willie just in some of those conversations on staff development, things that he does. I know he's continually, you know, monitoring the improvement of his program, and that's why he's been successful every stop along the way. And again, I don't think there's a magical fix for anyone as you build it, but you build it with your way of offense, defensive schemes, and fundamentals. And as he sits right there in the Houston area, that program will continue to see those, like I said, those dividends. He's an outstanding coach.
Anything else, Coach Leipold?
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, everyone.